Hi, guys. Uh, this is Piyush Suri, and I will be your host for this webinar. I see we have a major attendance today, so that's awesome. If you can't hear me or any technical issues coming, I think we have Joven on the call to help you guys. I hope everybody's soon going to get over with this roll call. So I'll just give it another few seconds. I just want to understand. So we're going to start with a question. And what I wanted to understand from you guys is what is that one thing that you don't like about webinars? And you can message it on the chat, and this will give me a great input into starting off and actually not doing the things that you don't like. So this is your chance to really make it fun and interesting. And if there's something that you don't like about webinars in general that you have been to, then I would really love to know. While you do that, I'm going to set up my keynote presentation for today. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So we'll give it 2 minutes. One-sided stuff. Oh, amazing. Yeah, me too. I don't like one-sided stuff at all. So that's why we're starting with this interaction. Yeah, luckily I have very few slides. I've only prepared for this in the last 20 minutes. So don't worry, I have nothing to share much. I'm gonna go and share my presentation. Okay, we have some chats coming in, so that's great. All right. Okay, presentation lacks empathy. Okay, interesting. Another 2 minutes if you guys want to look at or just want to talk about what you don't like about presentation sessions. Don't blame me after that if you're not having fun and you don't enjoy this or you don't learn anything from it. If you're not going to participate, I will just then use my normal flow. I'm not very good at presentations, as you can see. I pretty much suck at it, guys. Yeah, you know what? It's. I know that you guys are muted, so it's really weird for me. It's like feels like I'm talking to myself. So I really need you guys to kind of contribute and tell me more. So I feel like I actually have 200 people on this webinar. Lakshay, thanks, man. Guys, rule number one, you don't have to call me sir. I just turned only 37. I'm very young. Okay, okay, guys. Let me see the presentation list. Oh, 154. Awesome. I'm going to start on your cue. Kanika, I'm going to start on your cue.
Yep, we're ready.
Awesome. Great, guys. Okay, so that's awesome. I'll tell you what I hate about webinars. Boring presentation slides, because I think they kind of put off us, and like annoying, terrible colors and designs, graphics, etc. I really hate that. So of course we are not going to have that. We're going to have something really nice. Hopefully I have your attention. And we're going to talk about hustle. And hustle as a word is something that's really used and abused today. Okay. The reason why I say that is because you hear hustle everywhere. You hear hustle in company mottos. Uber actually has hustle in their company motto. You hear hustle in coaching. You hear hustle about those annoying videos that you see on your Facebook's feed where people are trying to sell you a session. You hear hustle everywhere today. But what does it mean? What does hustle even mean? And does hustle even apply to you, even if you're going to work for a company? And that's something that I really want to answer today. Okay. So we're looking at hustle as not something that is going to be from, hey, you got to hustle and start a business. You can do that. But we are going to look at hustle as, hey, you can use these principles of hustle to really use them in not only in your college, but after that. And how does hustle apply to the current situation that we're in, this insanely pandemic situation that we're going to, excuse me, guys, that was my phone. How does hustle apply to that? Before that, I'll just cover up about a little bit about myself, because you should know who I am to even take any iota of advice from me. So I went to Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh boy. I joined Accenture. I went to PricewaterhouseCoopers in New York. And then shortly after that, I quit my job to come back to India to start a company. I'm an ISECer. I was in ISEC for 4 years. For some of you don't know that, that's international youth organization. I'm very proud of that, because a lot of my entrepreneurial leadership skills were developed in ISEC. Apurv Bamba, who's also the founder of Engineers Faces, that's how I know him, because he was an ISECer as well. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. That means that there was no entrepreneur in my family. My parents were government employees and retired government employees all their life. So really, to start a company, I was coming from a big handicap of a middle class family, and didn't know anything about business. And I think that was a handicap, because I had to learn things by myself. And I've started 3 companies. I've exited one. I've sold one company called Art Noof, where I'm in the growth stage of one company called 5 by 7. and I'm soon to be launching a new company next month. And that's something that's I'm very, very excited about. As far as 5 by 7 is concerned, we've had 5x growth in the last 3 years. We are really a product company, so we've sold over 2 million units of products so far. So the journey has been very interesting, very, very, very growth oriented personally for me. And when I look back and think about quitting a corporate job in New York and coming back to India to start this company, I not even regret it for a second. So the journey has been really superb for me. And I do share a lot on LinkedIn, and I make videos. So if you use YouTube or if you use LinkedIn, do connect me with there. There's a lot of sharing that I do, and there's a lot of connections that I have, and engagement happens. So we're going to talk about hustle. To me, I will define what hustle to me means, so that there's a clarity in the presentation that we are going to have forward and what I'm going to talk about. So hustle really for me is radical, progressive problem solving. Okay. When I say hustle, or when we use hustle in the modern terms, it means something very different than what hustle used to mean 200 years ago. 200 years ago, hustle used to mean if you are a street artist, or you're conning somebody on the street, or you're kind of hustling for money, or you're peddling you're a bootlegger or something like that. It had a lot of negative connotations. Over the last 200 years, however, hustle has had this very positive meaning and very positive attitude attached to it. And to me, really, hustle means you are doing problem solving, but not just problem solving. You're solving the problem on a radical and progressive level. What does that mean? Radical and progressive. Radical means that you are going at it very hard. It's hardcore problem solving. It's not, hey, I will solve a problem in 6 months. It's, I need to solve the problem today. You're going really hard at that. That's what radical is. And progressive is basically that once you solve a problem, it doesn't stop there. If you're solving level 5 of problem today, you want to be solving level 7 of problem tomorrow. You want to be solving bigger problems tomorrow. And that really for me is hustle. It's a never ending process, something that you do over and over again. You solve problems in a radical and progressive way. So let's basically understand that. That's really what for me hustle means. And we're going to talk about on what I have learned about hustle and what I have learned about radical progressive problem solving, in a way that you can really use this in anything that you're doing. Some of you may be joining large companies. Some of you may be joining smaller companies. Some of you may be starting your own company. Some of you may be doing something else. Whatever that you do need radical progressive problem solving. And that's really where I think is really, really relevant for us. And I really want you to know that output driven career growth is the most stable. Okay. Output driven career growth. The reason why I say specifically that is that when you are very, very output driven, when you want to produce great work and you are getting things done, you are going to be you're going to be invaluable to anywhere you work. A lot of climbing the ladder in the corporate world is not output driven, sadly. A lot of large companies are extremely bureaucratic in the way they are run. And they also, of course, you can get promoted because you just are a good networker inside the company. Maybe you have a great relationship with your boss. Maybe you know a lot of people. Maybe there is something else. Maybe you come from a very good institute and they already put you above somebody who doesn't come from a good institute. Maybe somebody comes from tier B, a B grade or a C grade level institute, and you come from A grade institute. So your career growth is faster. Okay. We're not talking about any of that, because I feel though that kind of growth is not stable, specifically in the economy that we are in today. You want to be output driven. The more that you produce, the quality of your work that you produce, if you get around producing great work and you are able to create a more efficient way of working for yourself, you're going to be very stable. Not only you're going to be very stable, you're also not going to worry about economic recession. Worry about if you're going to have a job tomorrow or not. Why? Because you're output driven. Output driven people are most invaluable. And I can tell you right now that unlike the situation which was 20 years ago, where my parents used to work in a government job. They were not output driven. They just had to go from 9 to 5. They just had to do what they had to, and they would basically just come back home and they still would have the job for 30 years. We are not in that economy anymore. We are actually, unfortunately or fortunately, we're an economy where we're in a producer economy. We're producing stuff, and people who are producing great work are more in demand. People who produce great work never get fired, almost never get fired, because they are very, very valuable to the organization. Okay, so producing great work, if you want to be stable in your career, if the current economic situation worries you, if you are worried about what's going to happen if you join a company, if you're worried about all those things, don't worry about it. You should be worrying about what kind of output that you create. And this entire session today is about creating output. So let's go to rule number 1 for hustle. No, first of all, forgot this one. You got to take this advice like sriracha. What do I mean by that? So sriracha is a viral chili sauce. Okay, a lot of you may know that already, but what I mean by that is that a lot of this, what I'm going to talk about, may apply to you. A lot of this may not apply to you. When you take advice from someone or when you attend webinars, you really gotta take things like your sriracha. Basically means take it as much as you enjoy it, what your taste buds are. Some people take a lot of sriracha, some people take a lot less sriracha. There is no right or wrong. What I'm gonna tell you is the right things that I follow and what have transformed my output and helped my career or my companies and my journey. It may not apply to you. A lot of it may apply to you. I don't know, because I don't know you. So you got to take it as much as you can use it. If you can't use this, try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, forget about it. Take a little less of it next time. So I'm not going to come out and say, hey, you got to do this only and this is exactly how it is. Not true. And don't take it from anyone. Don't take it from Bill Gates. Don't take it from Jeff Bezos. Don't take it from Anil Ambani or anyone. Nobody should tell you how to do it except you. You can look at in terms of what people do and learn from them, but you can't emulate 100% of how people do, because your own personality is an important, strong ingredient in your success. What I'm going to tell you is something very external, but that's not what only is going to drive success. It's going to be your internal composition as a person. Maybe you're a lot more creative. Maybe you are so talented and you are so committed to one field of learning like machine learning or AI that you don't need any of it because your skill overpowers everything else. So take it like the way you take your sriracha. No right or wrong to the quantity. Take it the way you think it's right for you. We'll go to point 1, which is context swapping. This is one of my favorite concepts, context swapping. And essentially it means that you swap the context of learning. The gentleman on your right hand side is he's a legend when it comes down to chefs. He has 3 Michelin stars in Japan in a Tokyo restaurant, and his name is Jiro. There is an award-winning documentary on him called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. This guy runs a restaurant which has seating for maybe about 10 people in Tokyo. Only 10 people. Can you imagine? He has the most famous restaurant in the world. The way he goes about, executing and cooking and his techniques for making sushi are really, really inspiring. The first time I saw this movie, I immediately thought that what are things that I can learn from him, the way he approaches work into the way I work. And I really, really love inspiring documentaries. The last inspiring documentary I saw was The Dawn Wall. It's on Netflix, and it's about these 2 climbers who are trying to climb Yosemite in California, one of the hardest mountains, the Dawn Wall of Yosemite, which is only rock, inclined at almost 90 degrees. And they're trying to climb that freestyle without any harness, that means. And I picked up a lot of things on what they were doing and could apply those principles in my business. Now, contest swapping is basically looking at people or understanding principles that may be not part of your field, but looking at other people in terms of what they are doing, their approach, and learning from them. And this is really, really beautiful because you can apply different things into what you do. You don't have to emulate somebody X to X. Like Jeff Bezos does that, and you should do that. That doesn't work. You should look at what your inspiration is. It could be sports, it could be cooking, it could be traveling. You could look at and read legendary people in terms of how they do things and learn from them. And context swapping is a beautiful concept that you should really know more about. And for me, my learning really happens watching from people, watching legendary chefs, watching really great people. There's another amazing documentary series on Netflix called Losers. So I learned a lot about how people deal with losing in real life scenarios. I love sports documentaries. So The Last Dance, which is basically another documentary out, and it's on Netflix as well, on Michael Jordan. Superbly put. And the way when I saw that, I was so fired up to use those principles of competitiveness like Michael Jordan had. Again, what I was doing was context swapping. I was taking one concept from one legendary leader on what they did to apply to my life in a different way. And if you can do that over and over again, your ability to learn is not limited to books. It can be from anything. It can be from not watching Netflix. It could be of watching from YouTube. Like I have grown, my parents telling me, hey, don't watch TV because, it's the idiot box. I don't think that's true at all, because I think that TV is only as dumb as your approach to watching TV. If you're going to watch something and you're not going to learn from it and you're not involved in that, you're not going to learn. You're just going to enjoy watching it and forget about it. But another way of watching TV is actually being immersed in what they're trying to tell you and why certain things work. When I was watching Don Wall, I was thinking to myself, how did they do that? Why did they do that? I was so curious about it. So if you're going to approach everything with curiosity, different subjects, you're going to learn a lot. And I really think that's a very powerful concept because you can essentially then learn from everything. You can learn from this webinar. You can learn from a YouTube video. You can learn from Facebook. You can learn from LinkedIn on what people are writing about. You can really learn from everything. So we're living in the information age, and thankfully there's no one unilateral way of learning things. Step 2, map solving to your learning. Now, the biggest difference between working for a large company and working or running your own company, the biggest difference is that if you don't learn in your own company and you don't perform, the company is not going to exist. And for a lot of you who are going to join companies, you're going to have the luxury of getting away with performing not at the highest level. Now, I don't mean it in a negative way, but I want you to understand that. And the reason why I want you to understand that is because it's very easy to become complacent when you're going to work for a large company, because your performance is a minute indent into the large company's performance. If you perform or you don't perform, maybe people get to know about it, maybe people don't get to know about it. But if you don't perform in a smaller company, in your own company, it doesn't matter what people know, the company is just not going to run. Another thing I want you to know is the problem solving that you have when you go out to solve a problem, and it could be anything. It could be about executing a marketing campaign. It could be about figuring out a new marketing strategy for your brand. It could also be running a different kind of operations the way that you're doing. It could be a mathematical, anything that you do, you are only going to solve that problem when you learn, when your learning is going to be improved. You can't solve complex arithmetic equations if you don't know simple basic mathematics. It's as simple as that. So what you should be focused on in learning, and the reason why you should be learning, is solving problems. One approach that I have to that is When I'm stuck in a particular problem, I am really obsessed about solving that problem and I read everything around it. What happens then is my ability to consume that particular media, books, TV, television, YouTube, internet, streaming, social media, my ability to consume that becomes very high because I'm obsessed about solving that problem. When I have a problem in my company and I'm not able to grow the revenue or I'm not able to close a deal or a sales, I'm obsessed about becoming better. If you take this approach to your corporate life and when you work for large companies, if you take this approach, you're going to really benefit from it. And I can 100% tell you, you will outperform everyone out there because people usually get complacent when they work in large companies. And if you have this approach of, hey, I want to solve this problem and I will learn on the weekend, I will take courses. I had a problem in my company 2 years ago where we were not able to generate enough traffic for the website, and I really wanted to understand on what digital marketing is about. I've never studied marketing in school. I'm an engineer by background, so I was really interested in knowing about it. I used to take courses. I used to wake up at 6 a.m. And I used to take Udemy courses every day for a month until I really figured out digital marketing and I really could do things on my own. And that changed in my attitude in running the company. And if you can have that kind of commitment to your learning because you want to solve a problem, don't just learn haphazardly without a structure. Learn stuff because you want to solve a problem. It's the most powerful feeling. And if you when you're able to solve that particular problem, you will be able to feel better and you will be able to raise the bar progressively. As far as when I said you will be able to do much more progressive problem solving. Have fierce goal chasing. Don't just um, set normal goals that you can do. For some of you who may be working out, if you are a fitness enthusiast, this you will relate to this. Or some of you who play sports, you will relate to this. When you play sports or when you have fitness goals, the way to achieve that is to say, hey, I'm going to do this much today, but I may do tomorrow, I will push myself to do this much more. That's how you become better. And some of you may have played state nationals in a sport, or some of you may be running, some of you may be going to the gym, some of you are much more fitter. And the way to build that is basically keep pushing yourself and have fierce goals. Yes, our goals scare us, but what happens is that when you set fierce goals to your abilities are ever expanding and you improve and you go beyond what you can do. And that's something that I really recommend, that don't be limited to goals that other people set for you. Okay, what are the examples of goal setting by other people? Exams. Okay, exams and clearing your going from one first year of MBA to second year of MBA. These are goals that are externally put on you. Getting a placement. These are all goals that are externally put on you and you accept them. And when you join a company, they will also put external goals on you. What are those goals? KRAs, OKRs, targets, all of these things are external goals that are put on you. Like you will have an annual goal setting, and where you will have to do where you have to basically achieve a certain goals in 12 months. And I really think that's a flawed concept, the goal setting which is annual basis, because not everybody goes not everybody grows on annual basis. You are growing every day. Your pace of learning and producing something may be much faster than somebody else's. So why should you have annual goals? Maybe you want to have quarterly goals for yourself. Maybe you want to have weekly goals for yourself. So my point is, you need to internalize this goal setting. You don't have to depend on goal setting for other people. Sure, have, if you are part of the structure and you go on to clear MBA, you want to give exams, have that. Okay, do that. But don't let that be the primary driver for what you do. You should set goals for your own self. And if that goal doesn't scare you, there's no point setting that goal. And you should push yourself. And if you fail, no problem, enjoy it and try it again. If you run 100 meter and you want to have a certain amount of time that you want to achieve, what are you going to do? You're just going to run. And when you run, you will know, oh, I'm falling short by 2 seconds. I need to improve that. Take the same mentality into your own work as well. If you want learning about a subject, go and learn and practice and talk to people about it. If you're falling short by a certain amount, don't worry, go out and repeat it. The problem is that we play sports and we do all of this and we don't use that methodology of goal setting and just doing it to learn from failure into our work. That is something that I'm saying that you should really try to do a lot more, because you're going to be much better at what you do when you set more fierce, more fearful goals for yourself. You're going to push beyond the boundary and you're going to learn a lot. A lot of you may have heard, everybody's heard, I'm sure, this thing about multitasking this, multitasking that. And doesn't work. Multitasking is the worst because you're not able to concentrate on one thing and do. One of the books that have actually changed my life is, am I audible? I think it says my internet connection is.
You were audible. We just lost you for a second there, but you're audible now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So yeah, multitasking, I was saying, is one of the books that I read that have really dramatically changed my life is Deep Work by Cal Newport. And if you can give this book a read, it's going to be a tremendous asset to you. What Deepak says is that a lot of us are involved in doing shallow work. What is shallow work? Shallow work is, hey, I'm going to do this for half an hour and then I'm going to do this for half an hour and I'm not going to fully commit to doing one thing and going deeper into it. That's shallow work. If you want to produce great work, what you want to do is you want to be fully focused into doing that work, and you want to spend at least 2 hours, minimum 2 hours, in doing only that. For people who are really, really good at cracking exams or topping the class, for example, the reason why they do that is because their focus into the subject is very high. It's not that they have a higher IQ than everybody else's. It's not true at all. So people who are toppers, class toppers, etc., the reason why they top a class is because their focus level is very high. They're able to immerse themselves in that subject and really master that. That's deep work. So we want to do deep work as much as possible. If you're doing one thing, you want to commit to doing that. Now, unfortunately, deep work in pure sense is very hard to do. And the reason it's very hard to do is because you are going to approach something and you have to commit yourself to doing 2 hours of that work, but you also have calls coming from clients, you have emails coming from different people, you have family that's calling you for something or the other. There's a lot of variables that affect the way you produce great work. So my philosophy is that you take deep work and you take multitasking and you combine it. What are we going to do? We're going to do sync tasking. What is sync tasking? Go out to set solving a problem for yourself. So for example, when your day begins, you go about saying, hey, these are the 1-2 things that I'm going to solve today, and that's what I'm going to do. Now that problem solving may require for you to do different things. For example, you may want to you want to figure out a marketing strategy. That marketing strategy may require you to read and research. That may require you to do, for example, talk to somebody. That may require you to do 3, 4, 5 things. So you want to do all of those things that are in sync with solving that one problem. And if you can achieve that kind of level, and it could also mean emails, it could be other things as well. You want to do different things that are in sync to solve that one problem. Don't juggle your attention to 5 different places at different times. Juggle your attention to the same kind of problem that you're solving multiple things. And that's what I'm saying is something that's profoundly effective. Another awesome thing that entrepreneurs do, and the reason why they are successful, is because they take something from really, really small. They take really, really small resources and they really outgrow those and are able to leverage and build value from a small thing. Basically, low resource problem solving. If you had the biggest balance sheet when it comes down to your company, if you had a massive marketing budget, it's easy to solve problems. It's easy to hire Shah Rukh Khan or Virat Kohli for your marketing endorsement if you have that budget. That's easy, to be honest. That's not difficult. The difficult thing is building a brand when you don't have the money for it. The difficult thing is going and solving a problem when the resources that are available to you are very meager. And that is what really you should be looking at. Don't go out solving problems thinking, hey, I can't solve this problem because मेरे पास ये नहीं है, मेरे पास ये access नहीं है, मेरे पास ये subscription नहीं है, मेरे पास वो कुछ नहीं है, मैं solve नहीं कर सकता हूँ problem. I don't know how to do that, तो यार मैं solve नहीं कर पाऊंगा problem. You can't do that, because the most successful people are able to solve bigger problems in the shortest span of time. That is why people who crack CAT exam uh, are get ahead as far as better colleges is concerned, because what is the resource there? Time. What are you doing? You're solving problems in a short span of time, which is the constraint. So life, unfortunately or fortunately, life is a big CAT exam, guys, because you are going to be solving problems from very little resources. You should approach to solve problems from very little resources. If you can solve a problem, you should think about, hey, can I solve this problem in another way that doesn't require such high resource capability? And if you're able to do that, I think that this is where frugal innovation and jugaad and all the other things that are talking about, forget that. I really don't like those words, frugal innovation and jugaad and all of that, because in my opinion, all innovation really should be frugal. Only then it adds value. If you're going to spend $1 billion trying to solve a problem, I don't know if that's really problem solving, because you have all the resources. Problem solving, actually, in reality, should be really low resource. My last advice to hustle is leverage new age trends. Doesn't matter where you work, doesn't matter if you work as an IAS or in a government job in the home ministry, or a startup like Uber or Zomato, or a large company or engineering company. Doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter what the work culture is. You need to be thinking about leveraging trends, leveraging new trends. What are the new trends that are coming in? Gig work, the gig economy, as we call it. People participating in work where they are not full-time involved. Crowdsourcing, getting your work done from a bunch of people, work from home. We got to figure out how these trends affect us. How can we leverage these trends? And some of the smartest people that I know, irrespective of where they work, they understand what trends are, they understand what's happening in the world and how they can solve that problem. And if you can do that, if you can leverage trends as far as your work is concerned, you're able to solve those problems much better. One example that I can give you of problem solving using trends is that when I was in college, Wikipedia was just starting. Like, Wikipedia was an insanely amazing resource of knowledge. Not everybody knew it. Maybe I think about 1% people knew about Wikipedia in college when I was there in college. So that is a trend where you can use to solve and do your homework, or you can learn concepts which were much more complicated in class, which were more simplified online. So people who read Wikipedia for their lectures and things like that were able to leverage on that and really solve problems. A lot of these things are very, very natural right now, and they may be natural to you. But there are other things that you want to talk about and you want to look at in terms of, hey, how is work from home going to affect your work? How is work from home going to affect your output when it comes down to your work in the future when you work for a company? You want to be understanding these trends. They are very important. And when you understand trends and you understand in terms of how to use to your benefit, really, I feel that you are able to create a massive productivity. Further action. Yeah, we have a good amount of time. I would say 20 minutes for Q&A. Love to take questions from you guys. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I make a lot of videos and I post a lot of stuff. So happy to connect with you. If you write me a message, you will definitely get a reply. I reply to all my messages on LinkedIn. There is a list of new age speakers that I follow, podcast and Medium articles that I read. Definitely get on those new age speakers like Gary several others that I really love and learn from. There are a lot of podcasts that I listen to that I can share the list with you. If enough people write to me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to share and build a PDF for all of you guys and give you that. Medium, I'm also active on Medium articles. I write on Medium as well. You can follow me, or you can just use Medium as a platform to read a lot about what some of the newest age thinkers are thinking about and talking about. There's a lot of great learning there, a lot of great writers. Yeah, so all of these are there for you, and I'm open for questions if there are, and happy to uh, assist you in anything. Anyone? Okay. 5 by 7, how I built this company. Really, this is exactly what I've used. All these principles is exactly what I've used to build 5 by 7. I think that the business strategy for running a company is really dependent on your own learning and your ability to really navigate that. If you are a high skilled entrepreneur who's always learning, then you're always problem solving. And really doesn't matter then where you start from, doesn't matter what you're selling, doesn't matter on what your business strategy is. I think this role of problem solving and founder skill set is really not talked about enough. We talk about fundings, we talk about this company gets funding this much, we talk about, hey, this entrepreneur is this much money, unicorn, etc., etc. But you have to understand that unicorn companies are extremely rare and very lucky. If a company reaches a unicorn level, for every unicorn there are 10,000 plus companies that didn't reach there. So yes, it's about great market strategy and all the other things that you read, but it's also a lot of luck. So how do you navigate, and how do you diminish, the fact that luck has a part to play? Problem solving, learning, doing things, really going out and solving problems and persevering through that. And I think if I were to say how I built 5 by 7 is really perseverance. How are you adopting this new culture from work from home? Okay. Excuse me. So I really think that the future of work and future of amazing companies is going to be remotely distributed teams, teams that are spread all across the world, who are connected, distributed, and coming together to solve a problem. And the reason why this is the future of work is because not just the pandemic, but a lot of factors. You are not as productive in office as you can be at home because you don't have to deal with traffic and all the other things. But at the same time, one few things that people are not talking about for my side is really that the future of workforce is distributed. And the reason for that is that salaries and costs of living in different cities, in pockets where there are high concentration of startups and large companies, is very high. When you look at Bangalore, San Francisco, you look at London, everybody wants to move there because the opportunity is very high. But when you are going to live in San Francisco and you're going to make $200,000 a year, the problem is that your cost of living is very high. Okay, so it's very high because everybody is moving there. It doesn't make any sense. There are a lot of other smaller cities there where cost of living is lower, where people can leverage on building a team at lesser cost. The team people also save a lot of cost because they're not living in San Francisco but still do great work. So in terms of cost efficiencies and in terms of also talent pool, if you're a San Francisco company, you can only recruit from San Francisco. You can't go to a place like Thane and get a great engineer where it's possible today that he might be there, or Indonesia or any other place. So the talent pool is going to be distributed in the future, and that's exactly what we are doing at 5 by 7 as well. We've decided to work from home for the another 2 months, and it doesn't matter lockdown, no lockdown, because the team was very trained on working remotely. We had a work from home policy since last 5 years. So it really worked well for us because we had an unlimited work from home policy since last 5 years. So people were already very productive at home. So when this pandemic hit, it didn't really affect us because everybody was attuned to using Zoom, using Asana projects, etc. Because I really believe that this is the future. So work from home, I think, is an incredible opportunity to build more efficient companies and to build more productive companies and also much more happier employees. When you think is the best time to start the business, the best time to start the business is now. And that is the best time because there is no such thing as getting ready for business. If you think that you have to be ready for business, you're not ready for anything. Believe me, you're not ready for anything. I'm still not ready because mentally we put ourselves into this ab agar main ye karunga to main uske baad business start karunga. I always wanted to start a business and I couldn't do it. Don't think about that. Just go ahead and do it. When you do it, you learn, you improve, you learn something, you fail and you do better, you do better. You'll never be ready for it. If you want to start a business, the time is now. During this pandemic, I mean, I'm starting a consumer brand next month, and this is supposed to be the worst time to start a company because we are in a major recession, right? But I also feel there's a massive opportunity because there's a lot of disruption in the market. There is no right or wrong time to start a business. If you want to really do it now. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Do it 10 years later, 20 years later. Do it when you're 50 years old. Do it. No time to start a business. Really, don't ever think that there has to be a time concept to it. Just go ahead and do it. Like many of us who are going to join companies will learn a lot from observing our seniors, mentors. What is your take on this? Absolutely, of course. Communication is super important. I'm not, so this thing that I've covered is not an exhaustive list. I'm not saying this is it and nothing else. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this is what I have learned, which is unique. There are a lot of other things: motivation, communication, how you speak, how you write. There are a lot of things that are out there, guys, that can help you. I'm not talking about that because I think that there are a lot of people who do better job at talking about it. I'm only talking about things that I have learned, and I'm only covering things that are unique. You know, it's not an exhaustive list. Lots of things that you can do, and I'm only sharing from my perspective to make it more valuable for your time. I mean, you can do 100 things which are amazing, but these are some of the things that I felt were part of a hustle. Don't you think work from home will hamper learning opportunities for employees, a learning we make in a team? No, not at all. And the reason why work from home is not going to hamper your opportunity is because you can still learn and connect. When you are in an office, in my opinion, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise, of a lot of chatter. You, whenever you need something, you just go to somebody and ask, hey, yaar, ye kaise karu main? Or how do I do this? How do I solve this problem? How do I solve that problem? That is the problem in office. The culture and the conversation and the chatter and the meetings that you get pulled into are very unproductive. When you're not working together, when you're working at a distance, you will write an email or you will chat with an employee or your peers or seniors, etc., when you really need to. And that is a beauty because you are then solving the things on your own and you get more time to do things at your own pace and do things on your own time, and really for your productivity and your happiness and satisfaction at work. Autonomy is very important, and autonomy is massively reached when you work from home. There is very little autonomy when you work in an office because you are already pulled into some conversation or some meeting or somebody wants you to do something else. So you're all constantly fielding these requests from other people. There's very little autonomy in physical office spaces. And work from home gives you the ability to have more autonomy and more control over your work. And I really find that uh, really very efficient. Okay. Any last questions or anything from you, Ganika?
First of all, thank you so much. I think we have another question. What skill we need to work on most for post-COVID world?
Post-COVID world. Post-COVID world is no different than pre-COVID world. The reason for that is, guys, that the post-COVID world only exposes your weaknesses more. And same things that I talked about as far as problem solving is concerned. I really think that COVID is actually a filter. It's a filter for, if you are able to do great work, you'll shine more. If you are just surviving and kind of just flowing into the corporate structure, you will, your negatives or your gaps in your learning and skills are going to shine more. It's nothing. It's basically a reality check. Hey, you did great work, you are still in demand and people still need you. Hey, you did shitty work, nobody needs you. That's it. That's what COVID world is. So do the same things that you would do pre-COVID, post-COVID, post-COVID. Solve problems, add value, and build a reputation for getting things done. Last question I'll take. How worst is going to be upcoming placement of B school? Any suggestions to stay competitive in this trying time? Don't worry about placements. Do not worry about placements at all. I think that's the last thing you should be worried about, because if you are learning and only doing things for placement, I think that you will soon realize after 3 years placements don't matter. I've had a college campus placement as well, and it did not matter. If I did not have campus placement, maybe life would have been slightly different. But I think that your natural progression of who you are as a person, what you gravitate to, how you do things in life, those are things that are more important. They're more long term, they're more softer, but they are much more important than placements. Maybe you get a placement with XYZ company, maybe you don't. How does that impact 10 years later? Believe me, it won't. Because if you are flowing in the right direction, you will find that path sooner or later. If not now, then 2 years later, you will find that path and you will land into doing things. I was always made for running a business. I was always an entrepreneur. So the corporate structure couldn't stop that. If I was working in a large company, I was extremely unhappy, right? So maybe it was great that I worked for large companies. Maybe it was not great that I love work for large companies. It doesn't matter. You will gravitate and do what you're made to do. You just need to be more self-aware and follow that instinct.
Superb. Thank you so much, Piyush, for giving us your time. It was a great session. I have a long list of uh, things that I would watch now, because you've told, like, you gave us a long list of uh, uh, Netflix series that you watch, and so I'm going to binge watch today.
Awesome.
Definitely going to read the books that you suggested as well. There are a lot of thank you messages as well for you on the chat. So from everyone, thank you so much for giving us your time and for such an inspiring session. It
Thank you.
was amazing to have you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to connect. I really enjoyed it. Do keep in touch, guys. Add me on LinkedIn. I'm there. If you need anything, message me. Would love to contribute in any way that I can. Good luck for the next few months. I know that these are challenging times for all of us, but this is a great time for you to learn and do things. And if you're scared, always remember, if you are in fear of something, if you are scared about something, it only means one thing, that you need to do your homework. You need to better yourself. You need to upskill. You need to be better than the rest of them, because that's how you're going to get through it. If something scares you, try to solve that problem. Go out and improve that skill. And that's the only way you're going to get through this. If you're going to worry about it and ask 10 people on solutions, 10 people will give you 10 different answers to it. And none of them will be right, because you have to pick the one that's going to be right for you. And the only way to do that is to figure out your own stuff, take time, read, look and connect with people, learn from them, constantly be improving, constantly be learning. When you do that, you will have no fear to do what you want.
Thank you so much. It was great having you. Thank you everyone for everyone who attended this session. I hope you guys got whatever you wanted to get out of this session. Thank you, everyone. I will see you in the next Career Cafe session. Thanks so much, Piyush.
Bye. Good night, guys.
Bye-bye. Good night.